Reds and Dragons, Coach Tim here. Hello, hello. Instead of putting together an actual meeting, I thought what I would do is put together a screen capture video where we could actually go through all the Cooperstown information without actually getting together, because meeting is challenging at times and getting everybody together. And sometimes when we're together, it's tough to focus because we've got the players in there. And so I thought it'd be better for me to put together a video, and you can take some notes along the way, but you could also go back and reference this. I'm hoping to keep this to about 30 minutes, and it may be 45 by the time it's all done, because there is a lot to cover. So let me go ahead and get started. The first thing I will tell you here, this is Wednesday night, I'm starting this, and I'm blown away by the fact that this trip that we're planning is only 29 days away. In fact, that's when the tournament starts, but many of you are leaving in 25 or 26 or 27 days. So it's coming up very quickly. We've been planning this now for 2 or 3 years, I forget, but it's been going on for a long time. And it's finally here, and it's very exciting. And this will be definitely a trip of a lifetime. They'll always remember, tons of memories. So really excited for them, and excited for all our families to get out together and have a great time in New York. Speaking of the boys, I do want them to watch this as well, so they'll get a lot out of this. I know a lot of them have been watching Cooperstown videos. There's a lot of players that have come back from Cooperstown and made YouTube videos, and that's great. And quite honestly, I've gotten a lot of my information from some of those videos, kind of a collection over the last few months as I've watched them. I've had Grant help me a little bit, and also from the player kit and also the coach kit that I'm going to share with you here in this video. Well, there are a number of things that I want to cover. I'm going to try to be brief, but let me just tell you a few of them. One is our schedule. I want you to have a good handle of what's going to happen once we get up to Cooperstown. The parent camper kit is really key. I'm going to make sure you have a copy of that, but I'm going to go over some of the key points in that kit. The waiver release form and the camper health form, we've already talked about that because I've sent emails to you, but I want to just make sure we're all on the same page about those two forms. There's also another release that I need to receive before we get up there as well. And there's the Cooperstown rules. These are very strict rules, and so I want to make sure everybody understands them. And we've got great kids, so we shouldn't have any problems with our guys getting in trouble or getting suspended. But that is kind of the threat up there, that if you break one of the rules, you get suspended. So we need to know the rules, but I don't think we'll have any problems. The last thing is a packing list and a things to consider list that I put together based on a bunch of information I've received from the videos I've been watching and the Cooperstown folks giving me. So we'll cover that as well. And again, if there's any questions after this, you can always call me, text me, or you'll always see me up at the fields, of course. So let's go ahead and talk about the schedule first. We're going to take a look at a number of pages from the parent kit. The screen here on the left, you can see it's the parental authorization and consent form. That's the third form. I actually have everybody's printed up. All you got to do is sign it, and the 3 people that will have authorization to act on your behalf to exercise parental authority will be Jason, Dave, and I right there, and you'll just sign it, so we're all good there. As far as some general information, I'm not going to go through every one of these bullet points, so if I skip ahead, just know that that's stuff that you can read on your own. I just want to really cover the highlights. The general information tab has a couple things. One is, you all know we're going to check in on Friday. I don't think anybody's checking on Saturday. You can check in from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock on Friday. And when you check in, you are allowed to actually drive your car back into the barracks area. And I'd recommend you do that because I think it's a little bit of a walk from what I understand. And you can drop all your son's stuff off and bring it in, set it up. Probably just like camp if you're going to Sky Ranch or whatever. And once you do that, then you'll want to go park back out into the parking lot, and then you can come back into the barracks at that point. The second tab here, you're going to hear this a number of times. I'll try not to repeat myself actually, but the coaches are really the counselors for this week. There are some staff members, but for the most part, as you've probably heard many times now, we are the camp counselors, and we need to go through training classes and make sure we know what we're doing and everything. But in terms of removing your camper, your son, you will need to fill out a checkout form, and we'll talk about that when we get up there. It's pretty simple. You're also giving us authorization to take your son off campus, which would be in a situation like if we're going to go downtown Cooperstown, or we're going to go out to the cottages together. So we'll be able to do that, but you'll also have to check out your son every single time that you do that using that form. On the very first day, Saturday, that full day we're there, there's no breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So you're going to see there's going to be an opportunity to buy a breakfast and a chicken dinner for the family, and so you can buy all that stuff when you check in. It's pretty inexpensive from what I understand, but that's going to be something that you probably want to do since they're not serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner on that Saturday. The other thing is that there is a coaches and campers orientation in the baseball village at 2 o'clock. We need to be in full regalia and full uniform. There'll be a team dinner that will be at 3 o'clock, and then all of you are welcome back to attend the family orientation. There's an opening ceremony and the skills competition. And be patient. There's thousands of people there. I think if you did the math, there's probably 1,500 just players and coaches that will be there. But that is also the day that we'll be doing our skills competitions held in the little major stadium at 4:30. So that'll be kind of probably a long afternoon. So just kind of be patient. On that Saturday, parents and family members must exit the baseball village by 11 o'clock Saturday. And fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, you're not allowed back in the baseball village until you actually pick up your son later in the week. Up in the top left-hand corner, you'll see that really I think the skills challenges really start around 4:45, and those are going to last a while because you got to get through 104 teams or whatever it is. That'll probably go until 9 o'clock. By no means do you as parents need to stick around. At the end of that, the coaches need to have a meeting, and so it'll be a late night. That's Saturday night for sure. Sunday through Tuesday, it is tournament play. And the tournament play basically works like this. There's 2 games per day, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, the single elimination championship tournament begins at 8:30 in the morning. We won't know exactly when we'll play until we get the posted times, but I will make sure through Team Snap that you guys are well informed as soon as I get the information. So guaranteed 7 games in this tournament. You could play up to 12, and it's up to the boys how long they want to play. If we make it to the 12th game, that is the championship game that's played on Thursday. Of course, one of the things that we'll want to do as a team is go into the Cooperstown Museum, the Cooperstown Hall of Fame. That's going to be something fun that the boys will want to do, and then go check out downtown. I think also there'll be plenty of opportunities for us to head back to the cottages and hang out with the families, maybe doing a barbecue during the middle of the day, because we will find ourselves with a morning game and then a night game, and it could be as late as 9 o'clock. There's really early games and really late games, so we'll have plenty of time for family time up at the cottages, I'm sure. The closing ceremony starts around 6 o'clock. There's fireworks, and the championship game usually starts around 9. I think even last year it started at 9:30. The next morning, checkout is at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I think, I'll have to double check on this, but I think a lot of players and teams actually leave Thursday, so that might be a night where we all go back into the cabins and stay with the families. So we'll have to kind of play that one by ear, but hopefully we're playing in that final championship game, right? And we're going to be there late into Thursday, Friday morning. All right, now let's go ahead and jump into the parent camper kit. Yeah, the baseball village is basically the camper only area, and everything outside of that is the common area. So it's really kind of broken into 2 sections. I want to show you this map here, but you can kind of get an idea. Mainly when it comes to parking, when you come back to Cooperstown, you want to park where our games are, and I'll be able to tell you that well in advance. So if you're field 1, you want to park in lot A. If your game is on field 22 and you park in lot A, you got a long walk, right? It's a huge complex. So I would take a copy of this, keep it in your car, and use this every time you come into Cooperstown. A couple of things on tournament services that I wanted to point out. There is 24-hour medical and first aid staff available. There's a hospital nearby, God forbid anything happens. So even though we are kind of out in the boondocks, they do have that covered, it seems. 24-hour security. You cannot walk on and off the property. They don't allow you to do that. So it seems like a very secure place. Free admission to all the games, free parking for guests and family. So that's nice. There is a Cooperstown Dreams Park retail center there. I'm sure the boys are going to want to bring a few dollars to buy some souvenirs at Cooperstown. The food, I understand, at the concession stands are really good. The prices are relatively inexpensive, so that's nice. As I talked about already, there is a chicken barbecue on on Saturday. There is also one during the closing ceremony on Thursday as well, so the family can eat there. There's a train ride that the kids could take. We'll talk more about that maybe when we get out there and know our schedule. There's a shuttle bus that goes down to Cooperstown as well. I think for the most part, we're a pretty tight-knit group, and so parents and players will all kind of probably head down to Cooperstown together in their cars, but we can kind of work that out as we get there. If you're wondering if you have to do your son's laundry, you don't. There is a laundry service there that we sign up for. We basically drop off laundry every day, and by the end of the day, it's clean and ready to go. So important that we bring duplicates of everything just in case something happens, but certainly we do have some laundry services there that'll be very helpful, getting all those dirty clothes clean. There's one thing with regard to towels and taking showers and things like that, because it's still kind of a damp time of the year. I think we are going to bring some clothespins and try to hang some of those towels up so they do get a little bit dry. I would encourage you to bring 2, maybe even 3 towels so that the kids aren't wearing or using wet towels when they go shower. Pin trading is obviously a big deal. The big day is on Saturday. Water by the case. I'll mention this a little bit with regard to things to bring. I think we should all just stop at a local Walmart and all get a case of water. If we bring 14 cases of water into the barrack, I think that'll be a good idea. That'll give us basically a case for the week per person. It's like 4 water bottles a day, which I think will be good. Maybe we need more than that. But let's start with that 1 case per person, including coaches. And one of the cool things that they do at Cooperstown are these daily webcasts. And I know that there's a lot of family members that could not make it, but they can tune in to the ceremonies and the skills competition. If we play on fields 1 through 10, they can also watch our games. I thought they were all webcasts. I was telling somebody the other day that I thought that was the case, but I was wrong. And they also air the championship game. I don't think the clarity is really good, but at least they can kind of see the camera from behind home plate. So that's kind of cool. One of the things that's a little bit different that you'll have to get used to is where you actually will be watching the game from. There are no stands right behind home plate. It's all wooded here, as you can see. It's all green backstop. So you'll be down the first base side or the third base side, kind of just outside where the dugouts are. And they do that because they don't want parents, yelling and screaming at their kid. And so that's something they have on all 22 fields. So something to get used to, but I thought I would just share that with you before you actually got there and were surprised. Next, let's briefly talk about the waiver release form, the camper health form, and the parental authorization and release form. And that's a new one that most of you guys signed tonight at practice. I think there's only 4 of you left who need to sign it, but I won't go through the forms really, other than just showing you them real quick here on the screen. Those forms I need before we go to Cooperstown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a binder, and it's going to have all the information for every player, and I'm going to just put that right in the binder. I'm going to make copies of that and give that to Jason. So when he travels, he'll have a second copy just in case I lose mine. Crazier things have happened. So if you have any questions about these forms, let me know. On May 20th, that tournament, Saturday, if you would just bring all the forms at that point, that should give you plenty of time to get them all signed. Remember that the camper health form must be signed by your son's doctor. All right, so please make sure that gets done. All right, next I want to go through the rules of Dreams Park. And I know by now most of you have heard about the strict rules they have at Dreams Park. And I think overall, yeah, they're pretty strict, but they're probably no more strict than any other camp that our kids would go to. The reason they have strict rules, obviously there's 1,500 kids rolling around, and they got to make sure that they're safe. So Dragons, listen up, because these are rules directed at you. Your parents won't be there to oversee you. It'll be the coaches. So you're all very good guys, and so I don't think we'll have any problems, but I should go through the rules anyway. The first 3 points are really about making sure that we work we get around the park as a team. And technically, if you read everything in the rules here, it says that a counselor or coach needs to be with players at all time. I think there's going to be some exceptions if you're just kind of milling around the barracks trading pins. But if you're going to go across the campus or you're going to go get something to eat, you actually need a coach to actually go with you. So we'll check it out, fill it out to see how strict they are with that rule. But one thing is for sure, we do have to kind of work or move around in groups. Okay, you don't want to have individual players wandering on the park. If we did make it okay for you to go to, let's say, the arcade, there was 4 or 5 of you that went to the arcade, you just need to let us know where you're going and then check back in with us. We don't want you going to the arcade, going to the concession stand, going to some barracks to trade pins. We need to make sure we know where you are at all times. I'm going to skip 4 and 5 because that's pretty standard. Number 6, I don't think anybody was bringing a skateboard or Heelys to the park, but you cannot bring those types of things. Hoverboards can't go. Number 7, no drones are permitted. And Ben, I know you're probably really bummed about that. The park doesn't allow drones, but you're probably bringing your drone on your trip, and maybe outside the perimeter you can get an aerial shot or two where you're not actually over the people. But number 8, restricted area signs are posted throughout Dreams Park. Do not enter restricted areas. I think that's pretty standard. No standing on Cooperstown Dream Park stone walls. Vehicles may be driven into the baseball village area only during early check-in period from 6 to 11 Friday. Plenty of parking is available for guests. So basically you can only go back into the barrack area with a car during that Friday check-in. Number 11, there are specific designated practice areas located next to batting cages, no ball playing in the baseball village area. If you've seen where all the barracks are, it's kind of a tight area, so they don't want you throwing baseballs around. Hitting somebody in the head, and that wouldn't be good. All right, rule number 12, safety comes first at all times. We'll make sure to keep those guys in line. I think most of that's pretty straightforward. Number 13, no bare feet at any time. I guess the showers are pretty gross, so we got to make sure we're using shower shoes at all times. Number 14, all team members must eat at the same table and clean up their dining area when finished. I think that's goes without saying. We'll all be sitting together when we eat meals. I think we'll try to get out for lunch, either go down to town or go out to the cottages with the families and have maybe a barbecue or two. That'd be fun. Number 15, each clubhouse is equipped with brooms. Basically, we've got to keep the place clean. We've got to sweep. We got to empty trash, make beds. Kind of military style. That's how we'll kind of run those barracks. Call them barracks for a reason. Number 16, no smoking. Unfortunately, we cannot smoke on the grounds. I think we'll be okay there. Number 17, no profanity, no fighting. I think we're good there. Number 18, no standing or sitting on stadium walls. Stay on asphalt walkways. All right. A lot of this stuff is pretty common sense, but I do want to go through all 27 rules. Number 19, in the spirit of good sportsmanship, there is no horns or music or banging walls or garbage cans. All noise should cease when the pitcher toes the rubber. I think we're pretty good about that anyway. Number 20, no drinking. Number 21, no outside food or beverages of any kind can actually go into the barrack area or into the ballpark area. And I've read that a number of times, and so we want to make sure if we're going to buy something, we're going to buy it on site there. Number 22, team coolers only. I think what we'll do in most cases is we'll bring some bottled water and we will drink out of the fountains. I think most of the dugouts actually have water fountains. Number 24, we'll be held responsible for damage. Okay, we got that. Number 25, game balls are provided by Cooperstown Dreams Park. All foul balls must be returned to the umpire or a member of the baseball operations staff. Number 26, if there is severe weather, which we could catch some of that, teams will be directed to return to their clubhouses, and parents should go back to their vehicles. No RVs or campers. I don't think anybody's bringing that. And that's pretty much it on the Cooperstown rules right there. All right, we are down the home stretch here. Last thing I want to talk about are some things to consider and our packing list. The packing list that you're looking at right here is really a combination of about 10 other packing lists that I found online over the last few months doing my own research. And then the Cooperstown folks give you a list as well. So I don't think you need to go out and find a list online. I think this is pretty all-inclusive. There might be a couple small things I'm missing, but for the most part, all the big stuff's going to be on this list. And I would say, Dragons, the first thing I would do after you watch this video is pick a corner in your bedroom where you can start stashing stuff, all right? Put the stuff that you're not going to need until you go to Cooperstown in that corner, and that way you're not scrambling a day or two before you have to pack. It's just a pretty easy pack that first week of June when you're getting ready to leave. I won't go through everything here, but a couple things that you might find interesting. One is, obviously, we know the jerseys are supplied. The numbers are 1 through 15. 13 is not a number, so we'll have to figure out a way to pick out numbers. So the numbers will be 1 through 15. The hats that we wear during games are always the blue hats. The red hat is a souvenir hat. You can wear that into town and things like that, but I've heard a number of boys I've watched videos on that they use that as a souvenir hat, so they don't even wear it when they're there. Make sure that you label all your clothes. I'm going to bring Sharpies so that if there's things that need to be marked once we get there, we can always do that. But I recommend that you mark all of your clothes, just like you're going to camp. And then as far as the packing list goes, you see we have all of our baseball stuff up top here. One of the ideas that I liked was bringing an extra set of laces. If you've got brand new laces, you don't need it, but if your laces are a little bit worn, I recommend going to, say, New Balance and spending $3 to get a new pair of laces. If you recall, Nikki Rasmussen put out an email, it's probably been over a month ago now, on pants. So if you have not ordered your short pants with no piping, you're going to want to do that. And up on the screen here, you'll see that this is the email that she put out. If you can't find that email in your inbox, you can always go to TeamSnap and find it. The top one is the Cooperstown link where you can buy a set of pants with the belt right from Cooperstown. The reason I like that option, by the way, is that if you get them in the mail and they're big or they're small, you can actually just bring those to Cooperstown, and they have different sizes there. Another idea that I liked was printing up a list of all the teams that will be there. That probably won't be up until maybe 2 weeks before we go, but that will enable all of you guys to, cross off or check off the teams that you received their pins, because some of the pins are a little bit sometimes hard to distinguish what team it is. So print up a list, bring that with you with a pen, and you can cross it off as you go. And by the way, if you're looking to find out what teams will be actually playing with us in the week that we are going to be there, you just go to Cooperstown Dreams Park, and you go to Tournaments, click on 17, and then down below here you'll see the week, and it says here, once information is available, you're able to click on the link. So right now there's nothing you can click on here, but when we get a little bit closer, you can click on that, and I believe that's where you'll see the list of teams. And by the way, we will not get our tournament schedule until the day I check in, or I check our team in, that Friday. And so I'm pretty sure on Friday night we'll know who we play on Sunday morning. Another idea that I saw that was kind of cool was bringing some kind of a bag. This is a vinyl bag, some kind of a bag that you can carry. I know they sell these up at Cooperstown as well for like $25. I don't think you need to go that route, but just bring something, because you're going to have 75 or 100 pins, and you're going to need something to carry that around with. So bring something, some kind of a bag. The way the socks work up there, you obviously get socks as part of your uniform, the blue and the red socks. The way that works is that when you come back to the barrack and you take those off, we'll put those in the laundry. You do not need your name on those. We'll put them in as a team, and then you'll just get them back as a team. So they'll be clean. You don't have to have your own individual socks labeled. I do recommend that you bring a sweatshirt or a light jacket. It is going to get cold at night, so you don't want to get up there and have to go buy a jacket. So make sure you bring a jacket. It seems like most kids are bringing a sleeping bag, and this goes for the coaches as well, bringing a sleeping bag and then fitted sheets for a twin bed. All right, so you certainly don't have to bring the twin sheets, but I've read some things about the mattresses. They're a little on the nasty side, so you definitely want to put a sheet down and then put your sleeping bag and pillow on top of that. Keeping in mind that there is no heat and there's no AC in the barracks. If it does get warm, we'll go out and buy at Walmart some box fans to kind of keep the air circulating. 2 bathing suits. The kids will shower with their bathing suits on, and because it'll be a little bit cool, they won't dry real quick. So I'll bring clothespins and we'll hang them up, but you're going to need to probably bring a couple pairs for showering. We talked about having slides to wear in the shower. Bring liquid soap, not bar soap. You don't want your soap touching the dirty shower. You don't have to bring any of this. I'll go ahead and buy a big bottle, and we'll use this on a regular basis inside the cabin as it starts to stink up. Triple action Gold Bond medicated powder. I know some of the boys are more prone to jock itch than others. Not a big deal, but certainly having the medicated powder or some kind of powder up front before you have an issue, that's key. I recommend that you bring your own toiletry bag. Make sure that you have everything in one place, your toothbrush, your toothpaste, your deodorant, things like that. In terms of bugs up there, I read that there's flies and not mosquitoes. So I could be wrong on that, but I'll go ahead and bring a couple of cans of bug spray myself, and hopefully we won't need them. But if we go out to games and there's mosquitoes, we can just go ahead and lather up with off out there at the game, at the park. Like I mentioned, clothespins. I'll bring a bunch of those for all of our wet stuff, our towels and swimsuits. Surge protector, really a electrical strip is what I'm going to bring. I'm going to bring a couple of those because I think there's only a few outlets in the barracks. So if we can, get a couple of strips, and I'll plug them in. So I'll bring that as well. This one here, I will bring some earplugs because between Coach Jason and Dave and I'm sure there'll be plenty of restless sleep if we don't have these earplugs. So I'll make sure that I bring plenty of them. I mentioned this earlier in the video. Again, if we could all, before we check in on Friday, just stop at a Walmart or someplace and just get a case of water. If we all do that, we'll have 14 cases, which might not even be enough, but that'll at least get us through most of the week, if not all the week. As you know, there'll be plenty of downtime. So Dragons, if you want to bring some type of game with you that other people can play, that would be awesome. Cooperstown does say there's no prescription drugs or over-the-counter drugs that are allowed in the barracks. I'm going to make an exception there, and I'm going to bring a large Costco-sized bottle of Advil. If your son needs any other type of pain reliever, like let's say he doesn't take Advil, he takes Tylenol, just give it to me. They do not want any of the boys to have that with them or self-administer anything. So that's all we'll have is Advil or Tylenol. But if you have that, let me know and I'll take it from you. So all the guys are going to get their own foot locker. You don't need to lock it, but I have heard that some people do bring small locks, and you got the big, thicker lock. And if you're gonna lock it up, you're gonna want the smaller one, okay? And they recommend a combination, obviously, just because if you lose the key, you're kind of in trouble there. So don't think you need that, but if you feel like you're bringing something really important and you want to lock it up, by all means, bring a lock. There will be a big box outside of the barrack that we'll go ahead and put our equipment in, and I'll bring a lock for that, so we don't have to worry about that getting taken. I'll bring a lock and secure that. And things not to bring here, obviously we don't need any team uniforms. I mean, you can certainly bring some Dragon t-shirts, but really when you go into town and you're walking around Cooperstown, they want you in their stuff. And then the last thing is no food allowed. I talked about that earlier. Let's just skip on food altogether. If there's something that the boys need, we can buy it there at Cooperstown. So that is pretty much it for our meeting. Again, I think this is a little bit more efficient going through it this way than having a meeting. This way everybody can hear it whenever they want to hear it, and they can go back and review things if they need to. So on the last thing I'll tell you is on January 20th, that's Saturday, that's when I'll collect all 3 of the forms. Now, most of you have already filled out the parental authorization form, like I said, so I won't need to collect that one from you, but I will need the 2 other ones that we talked about earlier in the video. I'll also collect your birth certificates and your passports, or your passports, whichever one you want to give me. And I'll go ahead and give those back to you as soon as we check in, and I know I don't need them anymore, I'll give them back to you at that point. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. We have 25 days until June 9th rolls around, so gosh, it's just around the corner. Very exciting. So if you have any questions about this information I've just shared with you, by all means, let me know. I'll also email you this checklist so you have that to use when you pack up your stuff. So, all right, good stuff, guys. We will talk to you later on.